Sarah had always been a thrill-seeker, always looking for the next big adventure. She was an experienced cave explorer, and when she heard about the famous Ginnie Springs in Florida, she knew she had to check it out. She gathered a team of fellow adventurers and they set off to explore the cave system. At first, everything was going according to plan. They were making good progress, and the group was in high spirits as they explored the intricate and stunning formations of the caves. But then, they stumbled upon a passage that seemed to lead much deeper into the earth. Despite the warning signs and concerns raised by the other members of the team, Sarah couldn't resist the urge to explore further. Sarah took the lead, her headlamp illuminating the path ahead. The air grew colder and damper, and the walls seemed to close in around her as she ventured deeper into the unknown. The passage twisted and turned, becoming narrower and narrower, until Sarah found herself in a massive chamber. She looked around, her heart racing, and she felt a chill run down her spine. It was as if the walls were closing in on her, threatening to crush her at any moment. Sarah realized she was in the infamous Cave of Death. The cave was known as a place of legend, where a curse was said to have been placed on anyone who entered. Sarah tried to retrace her steps, to find her way back to the entrance, but the passages had twisted and changed. She was lost, trapped in the dark and in the grip of terror. She was running low on supplies, and she knew that time was running out. As the days passed, Sarah's fear grew. She heard strange noises, low growling that seemed to be coming from the depths of the earth. She tried to ignore it, but the growling grew louder and more persistent. It was all she could hear, and she knew that something ancient and malevolent was down there with her. Then, just as she was about to give up hope, Sarah saw a glimmer of light in the distance. She crawled towards it, her body weak and her spirit broken. But as she emerged into the light, she was met with the familiar faces of her friends and a rescue team. They had been searching for her, never giving up hope. Sarah never spoke of what she experienced in the Cave of Death. But the others could see the fear and trauma in her eyes. They all knew that she had come face to face with something ancient and malevolent, and that she was lucky to have escaped with her life. From that day on, Sarah never went caving again. She knew that the horrors of the Cave of Death would haunt her for the rest of her life. But she was grateful to be alive, and to have friends who would never abandon her, even in the darkest of places. However, the story of Sarah's harrowing experience in the Cave of Death spread quickly among the caving community. Many were skeptical, dismissing it as just another urban legend. But others took it much more seriously, warning others of the dangers that lay within the cave. Some even claimed to have felt a strange presence in the air, a sense of unease that they could not explain. Despite these warnings, there were always those who were willing to take the risk, to explore the Cave of Death and see for themselves what lay within. Some never returned, and their disappearance was attributed to the curse of the cave. But others emerged, telling tales of strange and terrifying experiences, of ancient and malevolent beings lurking in the darkness. The Cave of Death became a place of myth and legend, shrouded in mystery and fear. Some said that it was a portal to another world, where ancient beings still held sway. Others believed that the curse was real, that those who entered the cave were doomed to a life of terror and suffering. Years went by, and the legend of the Cave of Death grew stronger. Some even claimed that they had seen strange lights coming from within the cave, that they had heard whispers on the wind, beckoning them to enter. But most people avoided the cave, fearful of what lay within and of the curse that was said to linger there. And yet, the draw of the unknown remained strong, and there were always those who were willing to take the risk, to explore the Cave of Death and see what lay within. They went in, never to be seen again. The legend of the curse lived on, a reminder of the dangers that lay hidden in the dark places of the world. For Sarah, the Cave of Death would always be a part of her. The fear and the terror that she had experienced there would never truly leave her, no matter how much time had passed. But she was grateful to be alive, and to have friends who had never abandoned her, even in the darkest of places. And she hoped that her experience would serve as a warning to others, that they would never have to face the horrors that she had encountered in the Cave of Death. But as the years went by, the story of Sarah and the Cave of Death became just another cautionary tale, a footnote in the annals of caving history. People forgot about the curse and the legends, and the cave became just another stop on the tourist trail. People would go in and out, marveling at the formations and the beauty of the caves, never thinking about the dangers that lay hidden within. And so, the Cave of Death lay forgotten, its curse relegated to the realm of myth and legend. But deep within the caves, there were those who still remembered. They were the ones who felt the whispers on the wind, who heard the growls in the darkness, who knew that the curse was real and that the dangers still lurked within. And for those who entered the cave of death, the terror never truly went away. They were haunted by what they had experienced, by the ancient and malevolent beings that still lay within. They knew that the curse was real, and that it would never truly be broken. And so, the cave of death remains, a place of beauty and terror, a warning to those who would venture too far into the unknown. And its curse lingers, a reminder of the dangers that still lurk in the dark places of the world. Years went by and Sarah decided to revisit the cave of death, not out of curiosity, but to confront her fears and hopefully lay the ghosts of her past to rest. She was older now, and she felt ready to face what she had once run from. She gathered a small group of experienced cavers and made her way back to Ginnie Springs, determined to finally put the demons of her past to rest. As they entered the cave, the darkness and the dampness closed in around them, and Sarah felt the old familiar fear rising within her. But she pushed it down, determined to see this through. They made their way deeper into the cave, the only light coming from their lamps, illuminating the ancient and mysterious formations around them. But as they continued, they began to feel something watching them, an unseen presence that was always there, lurking just beyond the reach of their lamps. And then they heard it, the whispers in the wind, the growls in the darkness. They were not alone in the cave. Panic set in and Sarah's group tried to turn back, but the way was blocked by a cave-in. They were trapped, with no way out. And then the growls grew louder, coming from all around them, and Sarah knew that the curse was not just a legend. The ancient beings that she had once encountered were still there, waiting for their next victims. For days they huddled together, trying to survive, but the food and water supplies ran low and the growls grew louder and more persistent. One by one, the members of Sarah's group were taken, until only she was left. But Sarah refused to give up. She had come too far and faced too much to give up now. She knew that the curse was real, but she also knew that it could be broken. With the last of her strength, she made her way deeper into the cave, determined to find the source of the curse and put an end to it once and for all. And there, in the heart of the cave of death, Sarah found what she had been seeking. It was a being of immense power, an ancient entity that had been feeding on the fear and terror of those who entered the cave for centuries. But Sarah was not afraid. She stood tall and confronted the entity, telling it that the curse was over, that its reign of terror was finally at an end. And in that moment, the curse was broken. The entity dissipated, and the growls and whispers were no more. The cave of death was silent, its curse finally lifted. Sarah made her way back to the surface, where she was greeted as a hero. She had faced her fears and broken the curse, and the cave of death would never terrorize anyone again. And so, Sarah became a legend in her own right, a symbol of courage and determination, a reminder that even the greatest of fears can be overcome. The cave of death was still beautiful and mysterious, but it was no longer a place of terror, and its curse was finally laid to rest.